NXT celebrated the 1-year anniversary of its 2.0 relaunch on Tuesday, and I think it spoke volumes about the state of NXT when nobody cared about hardly anything on the show until the final 5 seconds when they showed the new logo. They showed the new logo. That got people talking. In the closing moments of the show, Shawn Michaels voiced over a quick video message saying that NXT has been and will always be about developing the stars of the future. He said NXT is constantly evolving, and even though stars will move on, NXT's message to the fans will still be the same. We are NXT. And they showed the 2.0 paint splatter logo fading away into a new white and gold NXT logo with black trim. It's the new logo, but with a version of the old black and gold color scheme. The actual logo is white with gold trim, which makes me wonder if it's meant to be a fusion of the 2.0 logo and the NXT UK logo, which had white and gold in it. With all the NXT UK talents that have come over to the brand, it would make sense. But more importantly, the 2.0 part of the logo faded away. So would that make this 3.0 now? They're updating NXT. They're updating NXT like Apple updates its iOS. Hopefully it won't be filled with bugs and shitty battery life. Yet another Vince McMahon decision that Triple H is taking the time to fix. He can put a happy face on it publicly whenever he gets asked about it. I wouldn't expect him to go out publicly and shit on his father-in-law, but actions speak louder than words. With every decision he makes, every name he brings back, he is making it clear what he thought of a lot of these decisions that were made. He bit his tongue for a long time. Obviously, he had his health issues as well. That took his eye off the ball. He had to focus on his health and his family. But you know that he had to see so many of these decisions being made, especially as they pertain to NXT. And all he could do is just bite his lip and say nothing. Now he's leaping into action. He's making changes. Now a lot is being made of the logo thing. And I don't want to throw cold water on people, but I'm gonna do that. A lot is being made of the logo thing. Vic Joseph said that the live crowd was still chanting black and gold for 5 or 6 minutes after the show went off the air on Tuesday. I think these people are setting themselves up for disappointment. This is not a return to the black and gold era. The black and gold era of NXT is dead. What this could be, though, is what I thought last year's reboot of NXT should have been. It did not need the kind of radical makeover that they gave it. They torched the entire thing for the insurance money and then used that money to build the Rainbow Room that we see on TV every week. With the bright lights and the bright colors, it looked like a children's show. I mean, I expected the characters from the Firefly Funhouse to start popping up. It looked like one giant Firefly Funhouse. They could have brought back Funhouse Bray to be the general manager of the new NXT. One of the things I always liked about NXT was that it did not look exactly like Raw and SmackDown. Then they brightened it up so much it felt like I was sitting in a doctor's office. A pediatrician's office, to be more specific. They should have kept an even mix of veteran talent and new talents like Braun Breaker, like Carmelo Hayes, Solo Sikoa, the Creed brothers, Toxic Attraction, Tiffany Stratton. You can have a nice mix of newer acts, newer talent. Instead, they chased a lot of those veterans away or they cut them. Johnny Gargano said thanks but no thanks when they wanted to re-sign him. The smartest man in the world he turned out to be. Smartest or luckiest, I don't know which. That he waited long enough for Vince McMahon to go away and Triple H took over. Kyle O'Reilly, once they started pairing him up with Von Wagner, remember him and Von Wagner in the fucking woods? Once they started doing that, him and Von Wagner, the most boring man on earth, he was as good as gone. He was counting down the days. There was no chance that Kyle O'Reilly was sticking around after that. Outside of Tommaso Ciampa and maybe one or two others, it was a show full of young, inexperienced people that we did not know. They were throwing so much shit at us all at once just to see what sticks. It made for terrible television. Now they've calmed that down a little bit. They've found their footing with the new format, but that doesn't mean it's a good show. Most weeks, it's not. It's boring. It's not a fun show. NXT used to be the best wrestling show all week. It was a lot of fun to watch, and now it's not. If Triple H wants to bring back some elements of the black and gold era, I think that's great. I'm hearing they may be bringing back the TakeOver names, starting with Halloween Havoc next month. If they're going to bring back, NXT TakeOver, then they have to take those shows on the road. Either pair them up again on the weekends of the main roster pay-per-views or book your own weekend somewhere in a small venue. Because they're not packing 14,000 people into the Barclays Center in Brooklyn with the crew that they have now. Those days are over. You're not getting 14,000 people to pay to see Lash Legend and security guard Hank. But imagine a TakeOver show at the Hammerstein Ballroom or in a building that size. They must get out of Orlando and get out of that performance center, at least for the TakeOver shows. That was part of what made those TakeOver shows so special, was the energy of the crowd. It is no different than WWE doing shows in the Thunderdome or AEW doing all of their shows at Daly's Place. It was nice for a time. It was good that they had a home base and a central location. Eventually, we all grew tired of it, and we couldn't wait for them to get the hell out of there. And I feel the same way about the Tie-Dye Temple. That is a change that I would like to see Triple H make as soon as possible. Now, 2 more changes I would like to see Triple H make with this latest incarnation of NXT. Better quality wrestling matches, because I actually do watch wrestling for more than just the characters and the silly vignettes. We need characters. And we need vignettes. Look, I grew up on vignettes. We used to get them all the time. On Superstars and Wrestling Challenge, Primetime Wrestling was one big vignette with Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. I didn't even care about the matches. I just wanted to see the two of them. I don't have anything against character development. I don't have anything against vignettes. We can have that, but we need better wrestling. I don't want to see people on TV who have never wrestled a match in front of a live crowd a day in their life. They have no business being on television. I understand NXT is developmental, but a lot of these people do not belong on USA Network. And they're also not doing them any favors by throwing them out to the wolves like that. I actually think it can be very damaging to their development. People shit on them all the time, and it's actually not their fault. It's the company's fault for putting them out there in the first place before they're ready. Then they go online and they read about how this person sucks, and this person has no business being in the ring. Meanwhile, they've had 1 match. Or they've had 3 matches. You mean to tell me that doesn't fuck with their psyche? Why would you even put them in that position in the first place? Now that they're running live events again in Florida, that's where they should be wrestling. They should be getting their reps in on those Florida loops in front of 200 people, 300 people. Not on national television well before they're ready. It's like throwing raw meat on a plate and saying, here's dinner. At least let the fucking thing cook for a little bit so I don't get food poisoning eating it. This is where the NXT UK stars are going to help out a lot. By adding people like Tyler Bate. They've got JD McDonough now. They've got Ilya Dragunov, who appeared at the tapings. Gallus. Pretty Deadly. Mako Satomura. Now they have a core group of men and women who can work. These are not developmental talents. They are already developed. And they can give you 10 to 15 minutes of wrestling that won't make me embarrassed to be watching the show. One other thing I'd like to see from NXT moving forward is a better synergy with the main roster. I don't mean main roster talents appearing on the show. I mean when the time comes to call these people up to Raw or SmackDown, they won't totally disregard what they did on NXT, respecting the characters they developed on Tuesdays. Giving them the chance to succeed before giving up on them. Before, you had people get called up and they were buried before they even had a chance to cut their first promo. Because Vince McMahon didn't give a fuck about NXT. Never paid any attention to it. NXT is Triple H's baby. I trust that he'll treat it with the respect that his father-in-law did not. The best thing that ever happened to NXT was Triple H taking over as the head of creative. More than any cosmetic changes, roster changes, that is the single best thing that ever happened to NXT. And now we need to have a cohesion between the brands that did not exist before. I used to ask the question, why bother? Why bother getting invested in any of these people if 85% of them are doomed to fail? That shouldn't be an issue anymore. Those days should be over. That should be a thing of the past now. We're moving on. This is a new era. These people should not be doomed to fail on day one. If they fail, they should fail of their own accord, not because somebody else made a stupid decision or didn't give them a chance. Those days should be done.